Hi everyone. Oh, tonight I have with me John Chin. I mean, we've just been sitting here chatting now, and I know that I could just go on forever and it could turn into at least a 4-hour interview. And it's just so much information. And so let's start about, I know it's probably not important to my viewers, but I just think you're so young and out there and just so in tune with today's community. Like, how old are you, John? Are we allowed to ask your age?
I am 80 years old.
80. Now, I mean, look how young he looks. That's because he's always doing such beautiful things for the community. And that's what I wanted to touch on tonight with John about what he's been doing in the community. That's one little thing that I'll be talking to you about. Well, not little, but one thing that I wanted to focus on. So we might go a little bit over time tonight because that was something that was just added and I thought it was so important for my viewers and for everyone to hear tonight about the Mentor Support Network, which is really important. But we're going to talk to John about, and it's a sad thing because with John, he lost his brother to heart disease.
Yes.
And it was as recent as
August.
August.
Yes.
Wow, and he doesn't live in Australia, does he?
No, he lives in Malaysia. He's a year younger than me. And we were with him in March when we visited Malaysia, my wife and I. And in fact, on the day of the morning when he passed away, he actually sent me a message through WhatsApp. And, a couple of hours later, I got a message to say that he passed away. We found out that actually he was on his way to see his doctor. He hasn't been feeling too good with a bit of chest pain. And he was stopped at the traffic lights. The only trouble was he was gone by the time the lights changed color. So the cars back, they were behind him, honked at him. Only to realize something was wrong, they came around and found that he was gone. So after his funeral, we came back, my wife and I, and my wife Lane is a registered nurse with the oncology department here at the Mater. And she said, John, I think you should have a blood test and also a stress test.
Is this because she was concerned after your brother?
Yes, being a nurse, she's always conscious of the family kind of relationship. And I said, no problem. I had my blood test, which showed that everything was okay except my cholesterol was a bit high. And my doctor prescribed me with a statin, which I'm taking.
Did you feel okay though?
No, I felt okay. I was, I've always felt pretty fit. I have been very involved with sports in my young days, playing badminton especially, and I won the Australian Championship back in 1965.
Oh, how's that?
And I had no trouble there. But when I went for my stress test, everything was okay except that the doctor who was involved said, stop, and set me down on a bench. I said, have you got any chest pains? I said, no. I said, got any headaches? I said, no. And next moment she got the oxygen plugged into my nose. And I said, what's going on? And she said, well, we found that you have an abnormality in your heart, And I'm supposed to take aspirin to thin my blood. I can't do any walks in the morning. I can't do any heavy work, she says. So eventually I went back to see my doctor, and she got a referral to see a cardiologist. And then things happened. On the 26th of November, which is a Monday, I went and saw my cardiologist. He checked me out, and he said the best thing I think we should do is to have you have an angiogram. And he said, I probably can get you in tomorrow, which is the Tuesday, the 27th of November, at the Newcastle Private Hospital. And sure enough, he did. So we went there at 12 o'clock, and eventually I had my angiogram taken about 3, 4 o'clock. And when it was finished, the doctor in charge came over to me and said, John, you are a very lucky man. I said, why? He said, you've got one artery, which is clear, but you've got another artery that is 100% blocked. But he said the most important one is your left artery, your main artery, the left artery, is 95% blocked. He said, you're not going home tonight, you're going to stay overnight and you're going to have a double bypass operation.
Wow. Like
And-
just like that.
Exactly. And I said, is that open heart surgery? And he said, yes. I said, oh, no, I've heard so much about that. You know, they cut you open, they spread your breastbone up and they get into your heart. And that's what I did next morning, sure enough. But I was very lucky to have this surgeon, this heart surgeon, if I can mention his name,
Absolutely.
Dr. Sia. He came that evening and he spoke to myself and my wife was there. And he explained what he was going to do with me, asked me if I had any questions. And then he says, there's a risk with every operation. John, he said, but he said, I can tell you, with you, the risk is 1% at the worst.
Wow.
That gave me a sense of confidence and calmness.
Yes.
And the next day I went for my operation and it came out about 4 o'clock with tubes all over myself. I was still out. My wife took some photographs.
Oh, that was nice of her.
Didn't look very good at all. And I had 2 nights at the ICU at the Newcastle Private Hospital, and then I was transferred to the surgical ward for another 6 nights. Kelly, I can tell you, there have been a few complaints about hospitals, about nurses, but from my experience, these nurses are just angels. They are so caring. They really know what to do, And I was surprised to hear some of them telling me that they do get complaints, and I said to them, why don't you give them a bit of laxative?
I don't know how that's going to go down there.
No, honestly, we are so lucky in our city, with the nurses that we have, and really, and now it's 10 weeks exactly, 10 Wednesdays ago since I had my operation.
How long?
10 weeks.
That is just fantastic.
10 weeks,
10 weeks. Look
Yeah.
at him. Like,
Yeah, and I'm involved with the cardiac rehab program, which is a 6 weeks program. And I can tell you I absolutely love it because we do low impact exercises for at least an hour. Before that we have a talk, sort of a lecture on some relevant topics like diet, about or sleeping problems, medication that we are prescribed with, what we should do and things like that. And today we talked about exercises, what type of exercise we should do and how much we should do. All these things are so important, and on top of that, you meet other people who have, the issues that you're suffering from. And since my operation, I've done a fair amount of reading, and it frightens the hell out of me to think that a lot of us are not paying any attention to our heart's health, right?
and like one thing that I noticed that, it's stuck in my mind today after our conversation, and it's like you mentioned that the first thing that starts in our body when we're alive is that heart, and the last thing is the heart, the
Yes.
last thing to go.
It is.
So, it's just an amazing organ that's it just gets this little vessel, it keeps going.
It
and
does.
the other thing I can't get it out of my brain. Did you say that our hearts beat about 3 billion times in our
Yes.
lifetime?
Yes.
3 billion times that heart
In
beats.
your lifetime, yes. And for me, at 80, my heart would have racked up 3,600 million times, 3.6 billion times.
3.6 billion times.
And so I felt so stupid when, after I'd taken my car for a service, 100,000 K service, and it cost me about $500 just to make sure that the engine on my car is working well. And here's my heart that has done 3.6 billion beats, and I've never taken it to for any service. It
Makes
just,
you think, doesn't it?
well, this is it. The engine in my car is important, but I can tell you the engine in my body is so much more important, you know. So following that, I am determined to get the message out to my friends, especially those age 60 or over, and particularly those that have maybe family history of heart problems, that they should really talk to their doctor and maybe have a stress test like I have. And interestingly, if I may just quote some of the figures, the frightening
Yeah, these are the
figures.
things that were frightening to me.
This is from the Heart Foundation. They talk about cardiovascular disease. It's a disease involved with your heart and the blood vessels. And they talk about the mortalities. The cardiovascular disease is a major cause of death in Australia.
Wow.
There were 43,477 deaths attributed to cardiovascular disease in Australia in 2017.
Wow, that's incredible. This is Australia-wide.
Yeah. This means that on average, 119 Australians die from this disease each day, or one every 12 minutes.
So every 12 minutes that you're watching this show,
Yeah.
a person has died as a result of heart disease.
Yes, that's right.
That's just, why aren't we doing something more about it then?
And the cardiovascular disease accounted for 27% of all deaths in Australia, 26% for males, and 28% for females.
Wow.
You know?
Okay, everyone, I'm saying to you, like, if you've not done anything before in relation to your heart, I know we all go and get our eyelashes done or our hair done, like some of us, but you know, like, you know how it goes. But you know, it is really important to do something about it. You know, ask your doctor about it, like where can you go, what do you do? Don't be afraid to ask. And if you've never done anything before and you've never had your heart checked or anything like that, now's the time to go and do it, especially after these statistics. You know, like, this is frightening. To me, it's frightening. I mean, I've done the right thing and I've had my heart checked because we have heart problems in my family. So sadly, to me, that makes me go and do something about it. But for you at home that have not got anyone in your family that you've had this situation, you know, there's nothing stopping you from going and get your own heart checked out, because there just might be something there. Some of us don't get symptoms. Like, we don't get symptoms. Like, you didn't get a symptom.
No, this is what confused me. You see, I've never had any chest pains, angina, never had any shortness of breath. So I was lulled into the sense of feeling fit, and, you know. So when the angiogram, rather when I did the stress test, and they talked about an abnormality, and I thought, well, probably the worst case scenario would be for me to have a stent or two, not realizing it was as bad as 95% blocked in the main vein. So I'm very lucky, but as I said, some of these deaths are preventable. And I think this is why it is so important for people to really listen to their body, refer themselves to the doctor and have a checkup, because it could be just like that, you know. And with the cardiac rehab program, I meet up with other patients, you know, other people who've had heart.
And you'd hear some really sad stories there, wouldn't you?
Oh, yes, it is. I mean, some of these cases, like, you know, there's nothing they can do because they've got too far advanced illnesses with their heart.
And you've been given a new lease on life.
Yes,
Yeah.
and they're just living on borrowed time. So I think the message is so important for my friends and for anyone interested. Really, don't take it for granted, because you really don't know. Your heart stops beating and that's the end of you.
Well, that's right. There's no turning back after that, is there?
That's right.
So what sort of things do you do on a daily basis to stay active? Like, I know you've had your operation, so there's not much really you can do, but what sort of exercises do they encourage you to do?
The exercises we do for an hour, it's just low impact.
Yes.
You know, it's just amazing. You walk on steps and you do squats, and they've got light dumbbells for you to do. So, and that's sort of a treadmill. You know, I do about 6 minutes on the treadmill, and then I do about 6 minutes on the exercise bike. And it's really good to feel that your heart, your whole pulmonary system is working for you, kind of thing, you know. And I really enjoy it. It takes about an hour's workout. And then when I come home, I do my walks and so on, you know, and I do other exercises that I've learned from them. And it's important for us to continue to do that, you know, which I really intend to do. Hopefully in a month's time I look forward to getting back to a bit of social golf, you know, which I missed for the last 2 years.
Oh yeah, because of the swing and
Yeah.
etc. That'd be hard.
Yeah.
So you've also been, and amazingly enough, your daughter gave you a book for Christmas.
Yes.
So we are going to put up photographs of these books because John has found them to, well, this one in particular, to help him quite a bit in the situation that he's in. So do you want to give us a little bit of a rundown on this book and how it's helped you?
Yes. Yeah, obviously I've done a lot of reading. In fact, when I was in the hospital, the Heart Foundation, they've got a publication about the heart, and it explains to you what it's all about. And it's a terrific publication. But this book that my daughter Sarah gave me for Christmas, it's a simple one called Heart by a cardiologist in America by the name of Sandy Johar. It's written in very simple terms, it's not technical, but it's so interesting, and here's a little thing that I can read for you, and it talks about the heart. It said, if the heart is the last major organ to stop working, it is also the first to develop, starting to beat approximately 3 weeks into fetal life. That's amazing.
Wow, that is amazing,
And
isn't
that's
it?
before there is blood to pump.
Wow.
It said from birth until death, it beats nearly 3 billion times. The amount of work it performs, as the heart performs, is mind-boggling. Each heartbeat generates enough force to circulate blood through approximately 100,000 miles of vessels.
Wow. Oh my gosh, my heart.
Yeah. And the amount of blood that passes through an average adult heart in a week could fill a backyard swimming pool. So
In a week. So imagine, just visualize a swimming pool in your backyard right now, and imagine that full of blood, and say to yourself, all that blood has just been pumped through by my heart, like in 1 week.
It's just amazing. This is why I say we tend to forget.
Absolutely, the miracles of it, yes.
It is the most amazing organ or engine, if you like, you know. So this is why I say, look, if we can have this community appreciation of their heart, don't sell them short. Go and see a doctor if you don't feel right. Don't take.
But even if you don't feel right,
yeah,
because you felt okay,
yeah, yeah,
and then next minute you're having a double bypass.
exactly.
So don't wait till you have signs or you're not feeling. Just go and have a checkup.
Yes.
Like, what have you got to lose? You've got everything to gain from that.
Yes. So when I look back, I've been very lucky, obviously, but my brother's passing was sad, and it started the warning bells, which prompted my wife, Lang, to suggest that I have the stress test. So really, it's my wife who saved my life, and she in turn saved herself from being a widow.
That's a great way of looking at it.
Yeah.
So, like if your wife's saying something, the thing is, like, we as wives or partners, we see you each and every day. And if we see something that might be just a tiny little bit different, we might not be able to put our fingers on it, it's just like, what is it? There's something different, or your leg's swollen, or your arm seems to be looking a bit different, or there's something wrong with your face, just go and do something about it. Go and just have a little test. Like I said, you've got nothing to lose, absolutely nothing to lose, but it may just save your life. And that's the thing, if you're feeling a bit like, oh, it's okay, how about thinking about the people that you may leave behind? Not only your wife, your children, your grandchildren. That's what you've got to look at. Like, forget about you if you don't feel up to it. Just think about all those people and all those lives that are connected to you, and do it for them. So, you know, that's my little thing for tonight.
Yes.
I like to
And
get that out.
And I've got to pay, you know, sort of my respect for my wife.
Absolutely.
She is absolutely amazing. She stayed with at the hospital every day. In the morning she would arrive about 9 o'clock, and she wouldn't leave until I'm about ready to go to bed. You know?
Wow.
And she helped me in every way, giving me the bath and changing
Oh, that's
this and that,
beautiful.
you know. And she has been a true angel. You know, she's taken time off work for the last 2 months to look after me.
Well, I hope that she sees this show, that she can see just how appreciated that she is, and I'm not going to say was, that she is, because, you know, it is very, very, it's very important to have a partner or a support system with you when you're going through an illness.
But she even comes to my cardiac rehab to listen
Does
to
she?
the
Oh,
lectures, so
bless.
because she wants to.
She wants to know what
No,
you're meant to be doing.
that's right.
Yeah, I understand that. You
And when I arrived back home after I was discharged, she was in charge of the medication.
know? Good on
Because
her.
I've got no idea, you know.
So have you got it down pat now with your medication?
Yes,
Right, well, good o. Well, thank you. What's your wife's name?
Lang, L-E-N-G, Lang.
Lang.
Yes.
Thank you, Lang, for looking after him, because, you know, it is very, very important. And I do hope that you get to see this and to know how appreciated you really are. And I'm sure you do know that. So, I mean, that's big enough in itself, all what's happened to you and losing your brother. And I'm very sorry that,
Yes.
you know, that news had to happen. And I'm very sorry that you had to have an operation, but thankfully you
Yes.
did do what you did. So, you know, blessings to you for that. But I wanted to talk about something else that you do, and I know we're almost out of time, but I'm thinking now, the White Ribbon Ambassador, which you are, which is incredible, and also you're the chair for the Mentor Support Network.
Yes, right.
And wow, how are we going to fit this in like 10 minutes? Well, let's...
If I can go quickly about the White Ribbon.
Yes.
I think it was back in 2006 when I got a call from Bryce Gaudry, the former state member for Newcastle, a friend of mine, to tell me that he has been recommended to talk to me, to get me on to their committee, the White Ribbon Committee in Newcastle. And I told him that I got no idea what he was talking about. I've got no idea what ribbon was there. And I said, look, let me do my research and I'll get back to you. When I sort of did the research, I was absolutely shocked to think that in our country, first world country, these terrible, you know, statistics about women being assaulted was happening. And it frightened the hell out of me. And I did more research, and I came across this book, Half the Sky, written by this American husband and wife team of Nicholas Kristof and Cheryl Woodard. Half the Sky is the title, and taken from the Chinese proverb that women hold up half the sky.
We do.
Yeah, and the thing that really got me sort of stirred up and shocked me in a way was that it stays here, it appears that more girls have been killed in the last 50 years, precisely because they were girls, than men were killed in all the battles of the 20th century.
That makes you think.
Yes, so women's violence is right across the world, but I was more concerned about what's happening in Australia. So I became a member of the committee here, and then 3 years later I became an ambassador. And my job really is sort of getting the message out, to let people know, particularly if you're a victim, to know that today you've got to speak out, because there are people who are there able to help. You know, don't keep silent. I have said this often before, silence to the perpetrator is like oxygen to a fire. Okay? The sooner you speak out and get help, And there are people, even in our region here, you know, we're pretty well established now, refugees and so on and so forth, that can help you, rather than to be silent and sort of continue to be a victim. The perpetrators, when you look at their history, it's the same. They just want to control you, right? They control you to the point where you can't get out to see even your parents. And you don't have to suffer that. The police today are so well equipped to help, you know. So my suggestion is for anyone who is threatened to really speak up. Tell their friends. You know, 2 years ago we had Dr. Angela J as a speaker for the breakfast. And the fact that she spoke up and told her neighbor about the broken relationship that she had with her partner saved her life. Because if she didn't speak out, the neighbor wouldn't have known, you know, and she could have been killed. So I go back to 2007, my first breakfast, and we had a gentleman by the name of Phil Cleary, who is from Melbourne, and he actually took over the seat that Bob Hawke retired, the seat of Wills. But the reason why he was involved with White Ribbon was because his sister, Vicky, was murdered by her ex-partner. And what prompted Phil Cleary to be so involved was because at the trial for her murderer, his defense team was able to use this provocation law that was available in those days to make it look like she was to blame. She caused him to kill her. And he finished out being guilty of manslaughter rather than murder and only served less than 4 years. So
how is that right?
His work has caused that provocation law to be tossed out, you know. Sometimes I feel a bit frustrated because, you know, despite all the work that White Ribbon Australia has done, we still have 60, 70 women killed each year. But then I also think that if we didn't do the work, that
might be a lot
could
more. That's right. Yes.
So I'm very, very proud to be involved for the last 12 years. And we've got a wonderful committee. And this year announced that I'm stepping down as the chair. And I've got a very capable young person by the name of Mark Webber taking over. I'll probably still be involved with the committee. I just want to make sure that my work with Mentor Support Network is not impinged on. And I've just been recently elected as the chair of Northern Settlement Services too.
Oh, great.
So, you know, we'll be looking after the migrants as well as the refugees here. So I've got to make sure that I don't overcommit and not be able to do what, you know, I love doing.
So then we've, wow. So let's go on to the Mentor Support Network.
Yes.
So, and I don't mind if we're going over time, do you?
Not at all.
Because to me, these are very important facts that I need to get out there. So, the Mentor Support Network, explain to us what that's about.
Well, it started back in early 2000. Newcastle NBN had a project helping kids, and they found that there was a need for mentoring of youths in our region. And they formed a subcommittee, and the committee from there established an organization known as Hunter Youth Mentor Collaborative. It was launched by the late Professor Trevor Waring,
Yes.
and the first chairman of that committee, of that organization, was a local solicitor, Brian Doyle. With a humble beginning, it was a kind of a not-for-profit organization, umbrella organization for groups that did mentoring of youths. And then a year later, they started the scholarship program to help this sort of disadvantaged youths to complete their studies. And I've been involved through club grants, providing them support, financial support. So when I retired, I was approached by the then chair of Mentor Support Network. We changed the name to Mentor Support Network as a brand name because this describes exactly what
Yes.
we do. And the then chairperson was Kay Shah, and she came and saw me and told me that she was going to retire and she would like me to take over, which was a shock to me. Anyway, I did meet the committee and they were keen to have me, so I joined them and became the chair for the last 2 years. And I really loved the job, partly because we have such a fabulous committee and executive. We are all on the same page. We are focused in helping disadvantaged and marginalized youths in our region. You know, when I say our region, the Newcastle and Hunter, Lake Macquarie region. And then I'm also inspired by the students that we help. Just amazing to find that they have this resilience despite their disadvantaged position. You know,
Are these young people refugees or?
There can be refugees, although we've now got a pilot program that we are launching in about 2 or so weeks to help just the refugees. But our other scholarship, we have in the last 12 years helped 175 local students.
Wow, I wish an audience was here right now because that deserves a massive clap. Like, oh, there you go, that's our producer, like that is incredible.
Yeah, and they have benefited from $400,000. Now, they buy themselves a computer, which is, something that they refer to their schools, their teachers, to see the type of computer that is suitable for them. They use the money for, tuition, excursions and things like that. And it gives them an opportunity of not being deprived.
Yes.
Okay, because when you
singled out as well.
Yes, yes, it gives them that confidence. We as our previous chairperson said, he's the chair of our scholarship committee. He always used the term giving them a leg up, and it is so true, and it's just amazing how a bit of encouragement can transform these youths, these young students, to have that air of confidence in them.
And to feel worthy, I think,
self-esteem.
Yes.
And as I said, we have helped 175, and in about another fortnight's time, we got this year's presentation. We got 31 students receiving 52,500.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yes. So our mission really is to help disadvantaged youths to achieve their scholastic ideas, or aims. And we do this by awarding them scholarship as well as giving them support to the students that are financially handicapped. We also provide training for mentors, professional development and things like that. So we have been very lucky to be able to work in conjunction with our members, with our volunteers, and most importantly with the corporate sectors. The clubs in our region, they have been just tremendous.
That's fabulous.
Yes, they have helped us greatly. And this year, for the first time, we are going to start off with this pilot program to help at least 10 refugee students. Okay. Now, I've got to say this. I was a migrant. I arrived here almost 59 years ago. and I was educated in an English school. Our principals usually in those days came from England under the Colombo Plan sort of arrangement. So I was used to the English that was spoken by Englishmen.
Mm-hmm.
And when I arrived in Sydney, a friend picked me up and took me to Arncliffe, where he's found accommodation for me. And the taxi driver was very nice. He started talking to me, and I realized I didn't even understand him. Because I wasn't used to the Australian kind of speech.
Don't worry, I even have
Yes.
trouble myself sometimes.
So when I look back to my early days, I realized with the refugees, you know, apart from the terrible experience they've had in their own country, they've come here, they've learned a new language, a new culture, and it would help us to help them if we can get the scholarship that has a factor of career advice, because we want to give them the confidence to be able to front up to a interview, for instance, you know. So this is a pilot program, and it is funded by the Newcastle Permanent Charitable Foundation.
Thank you, Newcastle Permanent.
Yeah.
Like, thank you, you know, from all of us, thank you. Because, you know, without the help of building societies and situations like that, companies, corporations out there,
That's
you know,
right.
these things would not be going ahead, and we would not be able to assist young people or anyone in our community, really. So, you know, thank you everyone for being a part of that.
And I think we got to appreciate in our city that we've got this huge diversity of various ethnic groups. You know, I'm just amazed to find how many different countries
Are represented.
are represented here. And I like particularly the business leaders to appreciate we have this diversity of talent that is represented by our refugee youths. So if in the near future you're one of them coming for a job or asking if they've got any opportunities, please don't shut your front door. Give them a chance.
Yeah, welcome them with open arms,
Yes.
you know, because for what they've been through, a lot of them is just, look, you wouldn't even want to hear the story. You know, I've interviewed quite a few people that have come from
And they've got this
Congo.
wonderful work ethics too, Kelly.
Absolutely they have.
And they want to succeed.
Yes.
And they're prepared to do anything really, you know, only if we can give them a chance. So this whole pilot program really is about their education, and hopefully we can help them, give them a leg up again to get a job. And I'm quite sure there are, you know, business houses here that can, provide them with an opportunity. So this is what's inspired me. 2019 looks great.
Certainly does. You're alive, you're here, and you know, like, look what you've achieved already.
And it just happens that we are celebrating the Chinese New Year, the Year of the Pig.
Oh, hallelujah.
So my wife and I haven't actually celebrated because it is during the middle of the week. So hopefully our grandchildren and our family will be coming up to do so later on in the week anyway, you know. But
Well, how blessed are they to have you in their world?
oh, look, I feel so blessed, honestly, Kelly. I've got my Australian family, you know, the kids are in Sydney, my grandchildren. In fact, when they came to visit me in the hospital with little Terry, who's only 3 years old, and that was the time when I really felt emotional, you know, to have my family visiting me in the hospital. So I treasure this new lease of life. But I'm still going to do what I love doing, just like you. Feeling so blessed that I'm able to help those who are less fortunate than me.
Absolutely, and I think, you know, a lot of us feel that same way, and that is why we continue to do the work that we do in our society.
And I can tell you, I don't feel 80, okay?
Well, I don't feel my age. I'm not to say it. I don't feel my age. You know, it's just experience, isn't it? Just piling up. That's all it is. So, and I know that you'll be involved in another situation, and it's Grab Life by the Balls.
Yes.
And we'll be actually interviewing Sam Parker next week.
Yes.
We interviewed James Cobb last week.
No.
And so I believe that you've got a little bit of involvement with that too.
Yes, I am looking forward to. Actually, I'm sort of a greenhorn there, but I really look forward to it. But this is what makes life so interesting.
Absolutely.
You know? As I said before, many other occasions I go to meetings and I feel so sort of blessed to be living in a city where we have so much talent. And talent coming from the young ones, you know. So I feel that Newcastle will have a bright future.
Absolutely.
So I look
feel
forward to being involved with this.
So you'll hear all about that next week with Sam Parker, because we'll be interviewing him as well. And there's lots of other people that are involved in that situation. I'll also be Todd Sargent from 2NURFM. Who's also involved in it as well. So he'll be talking about that as well. So you're going to find all of it, about the whole thing next week. But, you know, when we're coming to the end of our interview, and I've just found it so rewarding tonight, and I'm hoping that a lot of you have picked up on a few things that we've discussed tonight, and, you know, how important it is to love you and to look after you and this vessel that we have. It's so important because, you know, we're connected to so many other little ones like our grandchildren, and we just keep connecting to all beautiful humans out there. So it's important to look after us. So make sure you go and get that heart check. You know, just talk to your doctor about it, because I think it's really, really important. And at the end of every show, John, I ask my guests to give a little bit of a message of hope. So there may be someone out there tonight that's watching this whole interview now and have experienced a similar situation to you in some way. What's a little message of hope that you would give to someone if you want to look down there and have a little chat to them
For me, I came here, as I said, 59 years ago, and I find that we are so lucky to be living in this beautiful country of ours. So take advantage of that. Instead of feeling sorry for yourself or complaining about things, look at the bright side. We are so fortunate to be living in this country. And my recent experience with a health issue, I am so lucky to have it done in Australia. I hate to think that I'm overseas in another country, because I don't think I would have survived. So to anyone who is a bit downtrodden or don't feel too good, please look at the bright side. Don't give up. You know, you'll find that there is a future. Just be positive, just be grateful that we are all living here in this beautiful country.
Well said, John. Thank you for coming tonight,
My pleasure.
being a part of our show. And each and every week, you know, I can't say thank you to everyone, but, you know, some of the names that I just want to read out. Shireen Smith says, hello, John Kelly. Like, good on Shireen. We've got Gary Bentley. We've got Shireen Lowe says, hi, John and Kelly. Now, Shireen's one of my followers in Brisbane. Her whole family are just hooked on the show, and we love that. And we've got Sam Parker. So hi to Sam Parker, and we're going to see you next week. We've got Jodie McCarter. We've got Sharon Sharp. Kelly Mills says hi, John and Kelly. Ian Millington. Todd Sargent. Well, there you go, Todd. Like, I'll be interviewing you. I can't think of the date right now, but it's very soon. We've got Margaret Moffat, Bonnie Jane McCorriston. Great topic, guys, from one little comment that we've got, and it isn't age-related. Young people die from this as well, sadly. So true, isn't it? So don't wait till you're 80 or my age, and again, I'm not saying my age, but don't wait till you're that age to do something about it. I'm trying not to point the finger. But, you know, being young, like go and actually get some sort of testing. And I'm having all these names. Kat Townsend. Hey, Kat. Like, hi, way up there in Cairns, I believe, or Darwin, somewhere up there. Shireen Lowe said, thank you so much. And you are a legend, John Chin.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, how good's that from the fan club? And Sally Hoddle, Sam Parker, like I said. Helen Hermer, thank you, Helen. And Georgina Harry, thank you so much. Teresa Crossland, thank you. That's my sister.
All right.
She's had, problems. So Veronica Maffael, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone that has listened tonight, and hopefully there's some value there for each and every one of you. And if it doesn't concern you, maybe it would concern your neighbour or someone in your family. So please spread the word. Go and get some sort of heart check. You know, if you've not done anything before, at least take a little bit of time and go and do something for yourself and for all the people that are a part of your wonderful world. And that's so important to stay alive and stay with us. So here's to good heart health, and know everyone that in life, they're telling me to, I've never been able to do anything like that. Does that look like a heart? Thank you, everyone. And know that, you know, in life, that you are going to be okay no matter what. And know that we're thinking of you, and next week we're going to see you at the same time. So bye, everyone, and thank you for
Bye-bye.
joining us.